success and firsthand from successful business owners, and create your own path to success.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
It's time to hit the road to growth with team lead of the Enriquez Group, Realtor Vinny.
Hi, you Roach Growth listeners. Today I have Dr. Eric Holzapple. Thank you, Dr. Eric, for being here. He's the founder of Living in the Gap. If you're watching us live right now, you'll realize that he is wearing green for St. Patrick's Day. I'm assuming. Was that a conscious decision, Eric?
Well, actually, it was 5 minutes ago. My son said, you don't have any green on, so I went and grabbed a sweater. So, yes.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Eric, I know you have a background in development, and now you kind of help people get to wherever they're looking to get to. And the one thing, when I have a coach like yourself on the podcast, I always love asking the question, what separates you from other coaches?
I would say our coaching is unique, is that we really focus on the connection, business and personal, that we work on both aspects of improving your business life, and it doesn't have to be a big separation between who you are and how you act in business versus home. So we work on both aspects.
When people ask yourself, like let's hear your elevator pitch. How do you describe yourself? Because I know your background in developments is different from what you do now. Do you still bring it up, or how do you encompass who you are when people ask you?
Yeah, I would say that we're, for our company, our elevator pitch is mindfully creating community, that we try to, we're all about business and building things and whatnot, but we also try to bring the community along with us to build it up.
Okay.
Do nice things.
Have you always had this, I guess, mindfulness of a work-life balance? At a young Dr. Eric, did he know how to balance the two?
No, actually, I was in my early 30s or so, and I lived in Los Angeles and traveled for business. I worked for an Australian group, traveled around, went to Australia, Europe, the US. I was going to Western Canada all around. 1 year I traveled 50 weeks, and I stepped on a scale. I was 210 pounds. Today I weigh about 160. And I just said, something's got to change. This isn't working. So I made some big changes. And then a little while after that, I discovered yoga, and that was my entry into mindfulness. And that was a game changer for me. I was pretty successful in business technically, but I was angry. I wasn't very happy. And it just really was a connection for me that the stars kind of aligned through yoga for me.
Well, I guess let's rewind a little bit. When you talk about successful in business, what did that entail?
Well, at that time, I worked for other people, but I ran offices all throughout the country. I was good at what I did, and I could, create projects, deliver, execute during the day. But I wasn't that happy, wasn't that satisfied with it. I was always constantly looking for something more purpose, more meaning. So, and that's where the journey has brought me.
So you're 210. Did you take the blame inside? Because I know for people listening, and I know for myself, you're traveling, you're focusing on basically work. You're probably not eating as healthy as you probably should.
Drinking,
and there's a little bit of sticker shock, right? Where you're like,
it was.
This is not real. My weight's not that, or I don't look like that. And I think a lot of people could probably relate to that. So did you take it in going, okay, this is who I am, or this is not real?
No, it was, this isn't acceptable to me.
Okay.
It was just like, something's got to change. This isn't, this is going to have serious health impacts.
And
so
how
it was just like immediately went to work, losing some weight, started running again, quit the job, did a bunch of stuff.
Oh, you did quit the job?
I did. Started my own business. Yeah.
So in a point that you were, maybe not your lowest, yet you were in a bad situation, you still, I guess, left that job. Did you have funds available that you could survive starting your own business?
I had a little bit and went off on my own. And actually, I left it. It turned into a consulting job. So
Okay.
I had a little bit of landing area, but it allowed me to have more control over myself, my life, and what I was doing,
And,
which I
and so
didn't have before.
now, what was that structure like? What did you want when you're building your own company? What was your game plan?
Originally my game plan was no employees because I'd spent a lot of the 80s laying people off, traveling around the country, working in offices, and had to lay people off. And originally it was, I got to do what I can do, but I don't want to do that. But over time, I've evolved and learned that I really, I love working with people. So we have a lot of partners and a lot of others that I care for and really enjoy it. So that's been an evolution through mindfulness.
Can you walk us through what that evolution looked like of, okay, bringing a company and actually expanding and yeah.
Yeah. So one of the moves that I made back at that time, as I said, I just felt like I wanted to do something more meaningful. So I went back to college and got a doctorate. Worked at the time. I went and got a doctorate of economics, and I wanted to teach. So I started teaching at that time and started my own business concurrently when I got out of that. And it was myself and another partner, Don, and we were mostly, like I said, no employees for a while. And I taught at the college, and I started meeting a lot of young people and helping them get internships and jobs and those kind of things. And it just kind of grew one person at a time. Came in and I would mentor them, get them started. Sometimes it was they wanted to go to another company. We'd help them do that. Sometimes they stayed. But it just grew kind of very organically, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to about 25 people at our firm. And it just was completely rewarding, and also was great for me because I built an organization around it. Gave me a lot of freedom. Trained a lot of people to do a lot of things that I could go. Like I spent almost 30 straight years going to Maine in the summertime, which is where I'm from Colorado, and things like that I was able to do based on building an organization.
What did you have to learn, or how did you have to grow? I know you got your doctorate, but how did you have to grow in building your own company compared to working for someone else?
I'd say when I worked for other people, I learned more what not to do. That I, worked with some people that were up to some pretty big things, but they made a lot of mistakes that I used to clean up. So for myself, I really made sure that one project at a time, things worked, that I would make sure before I moved on to another project, the project was cash flowing and made sense and worked. So that I knew that if I built a project at a time, if each one made sense when I added them up, they would make sense, they would work. And that's kind of how it's been. So it's been just building it one brick at a time, one person at a time, and one project at a time, building up. And it's right now it's we have a portfolio of a little under 500,000 feet for us, and they all work. They're all pretty full, mostly commercial. We've done home building too, and we've added the mindfulness to it, which has been added meaning to it.
Well, so you talked about at that time when you were in 30s that you got into the consulting business.
Yeah.
And you've also talked about the idea of, I guess, development. I mean, were those intertwined? Was it consulting with developers? Was it consulting with CEOs? I mean, what did that look like?
I did consulting with banks and with CEOs and other things, and mostly it was consulting back to this Australian firm that I work for and help them work through their issues. Development came a little bit after that. My finance was my biggest skill, and then I started working with a partner here, Don, and he was very good at development and taught me a lot about it. And I just had a real knack for it, how to build something from the ground up.
Now, one thing that always intrigues me about partnerships when you're talking about Don, right? You brought him up a couple times to kind of building your business. How did you know Don was a good fit? So if someone listening right now is looking to bring on a partner, what suggestions would you kind of bring up to their attention?
Yeah, generally I would say you usually don't know until you do something. So start small. Start with a smaller thing to do with them, because it's really hard to know somebody until you're in the trenches with them. Like in an interview, people are telling you what you want to hear normally.
Yeah.
So I would say the best way is to start small and be around them and just watch.
Well, I mean, I guess you brought up the next point of the interview. I mean, if people are telling you what you want to hear in the hiring process, what tricks have you learned into making sure you get the right fit for your company or right position?
Yeah, I would say for our company, the biggest thing has been internships. We've hired a lot of young people. Is that they come in and you get to see the work because we're workers. Is the work ethic? You get to see it, and if
Oh,
it works, you make them a permanent job. Or if you're hiring out, usually do a 90 or 120-day review period
yeah.
that you can, we're doing this and let's check in on it because it's really hard to know.
And I mean, are those paid internships for the most part?
Yes, we would. Yeah. And they were
And
great. Because it was great because especially with the technology and everything, the younger generation knows so much more about computers and all the websites and LinkedIn, and they're just great with the technology, which is something that I'm not as great with.
how did you find those partnerships for the internships?
Well, I was lucky. Most of the time, I taught. I went up and taught a class, so I would meet students, and one of the big things I did was place them at different places that I knew
Oh,
most of the companies, and I'd place them. And sometimes it would be an internship with us.
okay. So what happens next? You're developing, you're helping CEOs, you're helping banks kind of grow. What happens next in in your own growth?
I worked really hard with the university, helped them start a real estate center, get some scholarship funds together, improve the curriculum, those kind of things, so that we could really launch students that were ready to go. And then the next big move for me was mindfulness, working on meditation and whatnot and bringing it in. For Mirrors, it was just me, and then introducing it to those of the company kind of one at a time until it took off, until we really had a mindful company.
Were you able to do it hand in hand? I know you talked about making sure something was finished before you take the next step. Were you able to do those two things hand in hand?
I was. Yeah. It evolved. It was more one person at a time that was interested in it, and then another. And then we started what was called a seed group,
Hmm.
where we'd have a monthly meeting and we'd read a book and learn to meditate, watch a video or something like that. And it just kind of evolved that way. Eventually, we brought in mindful based stress reduction, 8-week program for the whole company. Uh, and not everybody participates, not every day or whatever, but enough, over half have, and it's really tipped the company to be like, we start our meetings with a little mindfulness, internal meetings. At least we usually don't do that with an external meeting. With an internal meeting we would. And we do a lot of service projects. We do a lot of community service projects. Most everybody is on a board of some kind, either the food bank or the chamber or Habitat for Humanity or Neighbor to Neighbor. We really reach out and give back to the community.
Is that a requirement for individuals in your company, or is that more of a suggestion, I guess?
It's a suggestion,
Okay.
but it works. It's a great. You go to do the right thing, but when you go to these meetings, you meet the right people.
Mm.
You meet great people that help you in your business. You go and you do what you're supposed to do at the meeting to help the nonprofit or whatever it is, but there's a lot of side benefits from the people that you meet.
What's your process? I mean, for teaching someone, I guess, how to network, because it's a skill set of networking, going to these events, helping out. Yeah, in the end, you're hoping for some sort of, I guess, return. If you're advising your clients, I guess, I mean, your employees to kind of go forward with this.
Mostly it's to try a number of different ones, 3, 4, because
Okay.
the personality with you and the group matters a lot. So my coaching is usually to do a number of them and then zero in on one that, where your efforts are appreciated, plus that you really see that you're making a difference with the group, with the person, because a lot of times it's a good cause, but you just don't have the synergy with the management of it. So that's a big piece of it too. So I'd say you try a number of different things. So you find one that you're very passionate about, and passion and purpose are what bring you forward.
How long do you usually give it in your suggestion to stay with that entity?
Oh, 6 months maybe.
Okay.
You can tell,
Yeah.
even a couple meetings, sometimes you can tell. So I say start small and then try to work yourself up through the committee process and a board seat if it's working. If you feel that you're making a difference and you are in sync with the management.
Now, going back to your own company, how have you grown that company and expanded on that company from the time that you first started of helping other people out?
Yeah, we've got a little different model. We expand through partnership. So usually if someone's been there 2, 3, 4 years, they're eligible for a partnership. And that's been great because everybody has a chance to go and really make it in projects and whatnot, to be partners in it. A lot of times if they're a broker, they trade their commission in for a deal and come in for a little piece of it or whatnot. But I had never wanted to be someone that had to be there at 8 and give everybody a list of things to do. But in a partnership model, everybody has their own list and they go to work. You don't have to worry that they're going to show up. You don't have somebody be a partner if you're worried about that. So everybody kind of carries their own water. And I'm someone who helps. I mostly help the other people when they need it. If it's financing or a development problem or raising investment money or whatnot, I'm usually around trying to help solve whatever problem there is at the moment. But I let other people run most things.
So you're letting other people run these things, and you're, I guess, almost a silent partner with giving kind of advice and feedback from your years of doing this stuff.
Yeah, I'm not that silent, but yes, that's the theme. Yeah.
That's the thing. How often are you, I guess, jumping in?
As needed. We have a weekly check-in meeting on all the stuff. So that's the biggest thing, is in those for a check-in to see what's going on with them. Depends on how much is needed. Sometimes it's not needed hardly at all, but sometimes I lead it if it's really a gnarly project.
So and I'm trying to get to, I guess, because we've talked about the coaching that you kind of do compared to the development.
Mm-hmm.
Or is the coaching mostly focused on development opportunities, or
no? It's evolved now. So I've started Living in the Gap,
okay,
which is a professional development program, a leadership development program, where we show how to use mindful tools
okay,
to improve business performance and your personal happiness and success. So now I have groups of 12 to 24 people that come through, and that there are groups. There's typically 9 days of intensives where 3 phases of it. One is like discovery of really learning about yourself, learning how to meditate, learning your inner processes and the process of development, finding your true purpose in life, why you're really here, why you want to do what you do. And then we work through a whole visioning sequence of, the next intensive we have is on visioning, how you create your vision for your life. What do you want in your life for your relationships, your job, your leisure time, your health, your exercise, all those kind of things. We work on that, and then we work on how do you manifest those visions? How do you bring it out? And we work on launching. How do we launch it? So most of those people have their own business. So I give them some business advice. Most of it is in the personal realm of, just how to act, what routines that you need to have to be mindful.
What is there a certain demographic that you're usually best with working with?
I thought when I started it would be more college age because I had 20 years of teaching at the university. I thought it would be more that, but it ends up being more mid-level professionals in their 30 or 40s that know what they're doing professionally, but just aren't as happy or making as much difference as they'd like to make. So we add that, and generally it makes them even more successful in business and takes a lot of stress away and allows them to make a bigger difference for their families and their companies.
Over your years of kind of working with these, 30, 40 sums that are doing good in business, but maybe not as great in family. What has been some of the the major items that they're usually working with?
Listening, slowing things down, making sure you're really listening, not overthinking everything, learning how you have some 60,000 thoughts a day. We can get really tied up in our brain, learning how to let that go and just drop into our body and be more intuitive about things. Also, to let things go. If you can't impact something, just accept it and move on. Don't obsess about it. Change what you can. If you can't change it, accept it and move on.
How long did it take you? I mean, was it once you started getting yoga for you to actually kind of live by that mindset?
Oh, God, took me a while.
Yeah.
Still work on it every day. I mean, so I would say for me, it took a good 12 or 15 years.
Oh, wow.
But one of the things that happened in that is I quit drinking during that time, and I really accelerated when I stopped drinking. Things got a lot better.
Yeah. Oh, talking about growth and where you're going to go in the future, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years and your company in the next 5 years?
Company-wise, I don't have a lot of big goals. I've reached most of them. That's why I've reached out and started this Living Gap. It's mostly helping other people reach theirs. I'm mostly interested in I want people that want to make a difference in the world. I'm really concerned with the device business we have. I really want people that want to operate a little differently in it and make a difference in their communities. So that's really what I'm focused on, is helping others that want to do that, show them how they can and how they can be successful and give back.
What do you get out of helping others?
God, it just makes you feel good. I mean, I certainly get a lot more out of that than taking another trip or, buying another car. I get a lot of satisfaction out of it when I see someone else take off. Like, my company, I think there's 6 partners, and I've watched each one of them come in and, then find a mate and get married and then buy a house, and then they have kids, and now they're all, they're giving back. They're serving on boards and coaching their kids' teams and, making a difference in the community. It's huge. It's great. So that's what I get. Just watching them, I just get a smile.
Yeah. You talked about that most of your people that you help try to figure out that work-life balance are in their 30s and 40s. Do you think it's easier once you're more established to get that balance? Because I would think it'd be more difficult starting out to have that balance.
Well, I think people think that they don't have the time, but usually you find that you waste so much time that if you're getting up a little earlier and getting a routine done and being more efficient, that you have more time than you thought that you had. And just less time of just worrying about things. So, and I think people are usually amazed how much it helps them parenting, how to make a better connection with their kids and their spouses and those kind of things, that it really improves their lives.
Is there anything that you think you could have told your younger self, that person that was zombieing through life, that was putting on maybe some weight, that might have got him out of it earlier?
Quit drinking. For me, I had an issue with that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Everybody's different, but that was an issue that would have helped me tremendously.
Is there something that allows, because from my understanding, it can be difficult when you tell someone to change unless they're willing to change. Totally. Is there something in your experience that maybe opens someone's eyes up if they might need to change, yet they're not ready for change?
Well, someone has to be ready. I mean, you can show them some things, have them experience consciousness, have them experience mindfulness if they haven't, and see that, and also have them see what's possible for people that have. And maybe they see a gap between what they're doing and that. But I don't think there's a jam for people. That people have to be ready. They have to somehow say, I'm willing to put the work in, because it's work, It takes
I appreciate you, Dr. Eric, for being here today. If someone's listening and they're ready for change and they're ready to take their life to the next level, what's the best way of them following you, getting more information? what's the best way of going forward?
Yeah, livinginthegap.org is our website, outlines our programs. You can connect with me. Happy to have a conversation. We have another cohort starting August 2nd that we're signing up for now. So, and there's some free resources in there on meditation, how to meditate, how to do a quick yoga process, those kind of things. So I think the website's probably the best, livinginthegap.org.
And they can, and that's probably the best way. What about do you plan to have any future books or anything like that in the?
Yeah, I've written a book. It's out in publishing right now. Greenleaf Publishing is publishing it. It'll come out probably be early next year, early in 2023.
Okay.
About mindfulness in business. Yeah.
And that information will probably be on the website at that time?
It isn't yet, but it will be.
Okay.
Yeah. It's going through the editing process right now with the publisher. So it's coming.
Well, keep your ears and eyes open for that, guys. Thank you, Dr. Eric, for being here today. Everyone, please subscribe. Please share. All of Dr. Eric's information is in the show notes. So go there, go on the website. I mean, even if you could do small change, a small meditation, a minute, 2 minutes, whatever it might be, it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eric, again, for Dr. Eric for being here. Everyone.
Appreciate you having me, Vinny. Have a great day. See ya. Bye-bye.